Welcome back to Football Fashionista, where we talk everything fashion in football with myself, Hayley, Adam,
Hello.
Joshua,
Right.
Ellie,
Hello.
and Rihanna.
Hiya.
So this week's podcast, we have been discussing the trend of ex-professionals, then going into punditry, coaching, refereeing, etc. And I think the two that just stand out the most to me at the minute has to be Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville. I just think their on-screen relationship doing punditry is just amazing. They just bounce off each other. They're so funny. But I think loads of ex-professionals now just seem to go down that route because they don't want to leave football behind or anything like that behind. What do you guys think?
I don't know, someone who's done, well, it's kind of similar to Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher is obviously Jamie Redknapp. He's done that, but obviously does the aspect of the more entertainment aspect, like when he's done A League of Their Own, and obviously now he's got his own sponsor deal with Skechers, I think it is. So I don't know. There's many routes that ex-players can go down.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it is down to who they were when they were a player and the personality they had, I think.
yeah.
I think there's been like an increasing amount of like managers like fulfilling roles as well, like who have played in the Premier League specifically before. Like if you look now, there's obviously Lampard's just come in as Solskjaer, and you got Guardiola as well. So I just think, yeah, we just don't really want to leave the sport behind them once they've retired from playing.
I do feel like... Go on, Ray.
I was just going to go back to punditry, and one of my favourites is Alex Scott. I think she handles herself so well and comes across so well whenever she speaks, and I think she's just doing it for the women really and showing that we can play a role in football as well.
Yeah, I think she's a big role model for a lot of women out there at the moment because she's like so successful at the moment.
Yeah.
She is like one of the only ex-female professionals really on TV for punditry at the minute, because Kelly Cates is obviously on Sky Sports, but she didn't used to play football, if that made sense. So she's on there really as a presenter, not really as a pundit. So it is.
Sue Smith's breaking through a lot more.
Yeah.
Noticed. But I think a lot of her, I think she got noticed first with her like punditry and stuff. She did a lot of work with Southampton, which I think is where she's from.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's obviously branched out. She's doing stuff with Jill Soccer Saturday and to like Sky Sports. So yeah, I think there's going to be more and more women coming into it anyway, I think, due to that.
Yeah, I feel like that's the start.
Yeah.
Only because, especially in football, like the female game's growing now in popularity. Like there's games on TV more, like it's more publicised.
Yeah, like the opportunities are like increasing a lot.
Because females are now getting treated almost as equal. That's why there's so many punditry jobs coming in now for ex-professionals, etc., and even coaching jobs.
And she's achieved so much as a player as well, so I think it's nice for her to like use her experience in a way to like showcase it through punditry as well.
Mm-hmm. I do think like most of the ex-professionals now, like obviously just don't want to leave their sports behind at all. Especially in football is just the one that no one really wants to leave behind at all. Like all of them seem to do their coaching badges once they've finished, like everything. It's crazy.
It's a lot more than just a sport now as well. Like it's just outside the actual like 90 minutes the team's playing. There's just so much going on in the background, and like career-wise, like even if you're not like an ex-professional or pundit or something, if you don't go down that route, there's just so much available now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just growing even more.
I think it's good for British football as well, because loads of the ex-British players are going into coaching and stuff. Like now management is so heavily influenced by foreign managers, etc. It'd be nice just to have British managers, British coaches, pundits, etc. This week we're joined by the one and only Cheryl Foster. For those who don't know who Cheryl is, then I am very, very shocked. But she is the former Welsh international football player who for the majority of her career played at Liverpool FC. Following her retirement from football, Cheryl became a referee and was recently promoted to UEFA's elite list of referees. So, Cheryl, we may as well start off with the one and only question. What is your favourite kit in the Premier League this season?
Hi, thanks for having me. I don't know about the one and only, but I'll just answer the question first. But all-time favourite kit or current kit?
Current kit in the Premier League.
I think I really like the third kit from Arsenal. With the blue and the pink down the side. I think that's quite cool. But I'm a Liverpool supporter, so I'm pretty made up that we're now with Nike, because I do like Nike stuff. So, but in terms of what it looks like, I think the Arsenal third kit is pretty cool.
Yeah. Have you got a favourite kit of all time?
I'm going to be sort of quite, sort of. It's an old kit. I'll give you that, because I won't give away my age. But I think if I was to be honest, I really loved my first ever full kit that I ever had. And I had the with the candy across, the red and the grey one. I think it was the 1990 kit for Liverpool. The grey one especially, I don't know, I quite liked it. I remember getting the shorts and socks for Christmas, and that created the full kit, and I wore on holiday. And to me, that's a great kit that I had and owned, but also that I quite liked as well.
I have that kit too.
Do you? Brilliant. That's all right then.
Just speaking as an ex-player, obviously you just mentioned yourself, like the kits of ever evolving, etc. Like, how have endorsement deals and things like that changed over the years?
Massively. The very few players would have something like that. I know that the Arsenal girls got looked after very well with either boots, contracts or whatever, but the difference now between when I played and now is incredible, really. And it just shows how far the women's game has come for people, for companies to want to sponsor them.
Yeah.
But also it just shows that those companies do understand that there are massive female role models around, and little girls will be seeing them in either a tracksuit or a pair of trainers or boots, and they'll want the same. So yeah, massive change. Like I said, very few back in my day when I played.
Obviously, you mentioned yourself the difference between men and women and the endorsement deals, etc. Why do you think that women were never treated with the same respect as such to have endorsement deals as big as the men?
I don't know if it's respect. I always think that we've come a long way about having the women's game being exposed to the world, really. It's only sort of recently, 10, 15 years, that more games are on TV, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can't go without a qualifier, whether it's Wales or England, that's not on TV. You've got the Women's FA Cup final this afternoon on BT. All those things. It's about exposure.
Yeah.
And I think with exposure comes advertising and marketing. And so I don't think it's a lack of respect, but I think because the women's game, like I said, has progressed so well, it's rapid at the moment. And the more successful competitions, whether that's abroad, World Cups, UEFA, anything, Champions Leagues, the more that's in the spotlight, the more that, people want to be on board with it. I can only speak on a personal note that as soon as I got the elite status for FIFA, that, people contacted me then saying, would I be a clothing ambassador and things like that. So, it's only because, we're now in the spotlight. And I don't mean just footballers, it's females in general, isn't it? There's a huge wave of positivity about female athletes, performers, anything. There's a real sort of positivity around that. And I think that people want to just get on board with it. And I think rightly so. We should get the same amount as respect as what you said, or deals, whatever it is, because we're competing at a very high level.
Obviously, because you played for Liverpool and you've obviously a Welsh international, what is your favourite memory from playing?
Can I pick two? One from each? I'll do it anyway. But I think just being a Liverpool fan, like I said, and playing at Anfield, that was one of them. And I scored at the Cop End, so as a dream come true. as a little kid, and I remember seeing my mum and dad just behind the goal, and their arms flew up. That's a good memory for playing for Liverpool. And for Wales, I think that a long while, it was a long time ago, but to get 30,000 people watching a female game, which we experienced against Germany away, was incredible. And one of the memories of that game is that you're looking around the crowd, and they're all German flags and German shirts, everything, just everywhere German, which is fair enough. But then in the top right-hand corner somewhere, all you could see was this little Welsh flag. And it's probably 29,997 Germans and 3 Welsh people. So that was a good memory. In terms of what I remember with the atmosphere and the experience, not even, I could go into lists and reams of experiences as a player, scoring goals, certain games, etc. But I think those two things sort of definitely come back to the memory when you talk about my playing career.
Obviously, we've talked previous, and it was harder for females to come into the game and stuff. How do you think that's changed it's not as hard? So females now my age can play for their university teams and things like that, get spotted from there. How difficult was it for you starting off?
Yeah, I think going back to when I first got spotted, as you say, I was playing for a boys' team in Conway. I was the only girl playing in the league, never mind in a team.
Yeah.
I was fortunate that my first team, Bangor City Ladies, was a fantastic foundation for female footballers. We had really good team with a very good manager. So I was quite fortunate that my pathway was relatively easy in terms of getting spotted when I was 13, 14, then playing for them, and then moving to Liverpool, etc. If I could go back to being 13, 14 now, or even 18, 19, I would, because the facilities, the opportunities are massive, and I'm sort of, I look at people like Jane Ludlow and myself, and who other players like that, and you definitely got to say that we did it the hard way. We sort of helped with the progression of women's football, and I'm proud of that, because I remember getting the first kit for Wales, and it was extra large men. It was a massive, and I was only little myself, and you just think about all those sort of times where it was really hard. I was talking to an ex-teammate of mine the other day, and we were just talking about how for Wales there was a time where I'd play for my country, and then 3 years later I'd play for my country again.
Yeah.
We were talking about how many caps would I get if I had started now, all those things. You sort of, but you can never sort of look back and think, oh, I wish, if I had a magic wand, would I go back? Of course I would, but I'm proud of what we went through, what we achieved, and it was difficult. I'm not going to lie, it was difficult, but we're definitely part of that process to have made the women's game what it is now.
Obviously, just following after your career, I feel like a lot of ex-professionals now tend to go into routes such as punditry and coaching, etc. What made you turn to refereeing instead?
I have done those as well. I did my coaching badges, and for anyone that knows me well, they always thought that I would become a manager or a coach, just because that's how I was as a player. I was quite sort of a deep thinker of the game, and I think that's still an option. I'd never say no to that. Punditry I've done. I loved it, because at the end of the day, you just sat there watching football, talking about it. So again, would I go back to that once I finish refereeing? Yeah, of course. I'd love to do it. I was told not to do it because you can't really talk about a football match and refereeing decisions while you're a current referee. So, you don't have that. But as a referee, it's weird because I was away with Wales, and there was an FAW counsellor who sat on our table, and he said, oh, has any of you girls thought about being a referee? And I think we all spat our soup out, go, no, not a chance. Because, you don't think like that. As a player, you're a player, and that's all you want to do. And I was coming to the end of my career, and I sort of finished my contract with Doncaster, and I didn't really know, do I sort of update my coaching badges? And I thought, tell you what, I'll do the refereeing badge because it'll only benefit, because I'm a PE teacher. So I thought, it'll just benefit me that way, even if I don't like it. And went to the course, and that effectively retired me from playing. I did the course in October, and by January, whatever, it was, I was an assistant referee at Saltney, which was a big shock to the system. I had the flag in the wrong hands. I was about a metre away from the line. All those things, because doing it on it, sitting down doing a course is very different to actually being on the pitch and doing that. So to say what made me do it, I think one of the things that I wanted to do is stay within the game. And also being on the pitch, there's something special about that. I know I'm not kicking the ball or heading the ball, but I'm doing it with them throughout, and it's quite nice to still be running around. I say sometimes it's quite good to be running around, not when it's box to box running, but it's just nice being still on the pitch, I suppose. And but I'm going to do it until I can't run anymore, and then I'll redo the other two, because I do love the game. Football's been my passion and my world for such a long time now, and it'd be very, very, very strange not having any involvement in it.
Yeah. Would you encourage more ex-professionals to go down the route of refereeing?
Massively. One of the things I loved about playing for Wales was the travelling, seeing different places, that sort of status. And refereeing has given me that. I was very fortunate, again, like I said, within a few years that I got my FIFA badge, which then allowed me to travel, all around the world. Just come back from Italy last week, going to Poland next week.
Yeah.
So it's allowed me to do that, but also it's just been on that elite stage. When I talked about playing in front of 30,000, you think that would, as a little Welsh girl, that might scare you a little bit, but I loved it. I love being on that stage, and it's the same as a referee. Putting yourself in that situation, you thrive from it. And I think that it should be a massive option for ex-players, to stay in the game, stay on the pitch. You're not being booted around the pitch anymore, but you'd still do it keeping fit. Like I said, you're doing something within the game that everyone loves. And I think that, it's not as hard as what people make out. Yes, there are some not so nice stories, but there are so many amazing stories. And like I said, it gives you the opportunity to carry on taking part in the sport that everyone loves.
I read that throughout your career, the majority of your yellow cards come from chatting back to referees. Is that your frustrations now as a referee, or do you understand more so how you feel?
It's very true. Most of my yellow cards were from back chatting. Do you know what? I really wish that I'd done the course when I was a player, or refereed a game, whether it's under 12, something for me to have understood as a player. Actually, that job is really difficult. And I sort of regret a lot the mouth that I gave the referees, because you can only give what you see, and you can only try and be in the best place to see and give things, throw-ins, call, whatever. And I used to go mad about the slightest of things, so I do regret it. But at the same time, it gives me, huge sort of understanding for a player when they're having a go at me. And one of the things I've always tried to do is I've tried to just speak to players and make sure that they understand where I'm coming from. What did I see? Because it's nothing more frustrating as a player where you'd ask a question to a referee and they'd say, go away. As a player, I couldn't stand that. So I do try and explain not when I'm running, of course, but when it's a bit calmer. And I certainly do understand, like, a misplaced pass or a striker that's missed a big chance.
Yeah.
Their levels of arousal, they're frustrated is so high that naturally you just take it out on the person that you can. You can't take it out on yourself. You can't take it out on your teammates. You tend to just shout at someone, and that tends to be the person in black. So I do totally understand it. I think that or I hope that that's made me a better referee.
As a referee now, what is the one game you aspire to referee in the future?
Oh, Mike, that's a difficult question. Wow. I think because obviously I've now got the elite category.
Yeah.
I think you can only aim for the top, can't you? You can only aim to go to a major tournament, or something in a major final. I don't really want to sort of stay like a particular game because one, I've never wanted to come across as arrogant or and also, I'm proud of what I've achieved now, never mind anything else that comes my way. I was meant to have a Champions League game before the pandemic hit. That was Barcelona against Atletico Madrid. That would have been an ace game. That would have been really tasty. I don't know. I think that's really difficult because I have got aspirations to get to tournaments and referee in major tournaments. At the same time, it sounds really cheesy and really silly, but you do genuinely take one game at a time.
Yeah.
You have to, because you're only as good as your last game, and that game's gone. Once it's been and gone, it's right. What's the next one? So I'm going to sort of swerve ball that one if that's okay. But like I said, it's not because I haven't got aspirations. It's just because I want to sort of just take one game at a time and see where it goes.
Hopefully it'll be a final that Liverpool are in.
Well, I'm not allowed now that everyone knows I'm a Liverpool fan. It will never ever happen because they know it'll never happen. But obviously you've got the Euros coming up, haven't you? You know that would be amazing to be, and it's in England, of course. So it would be fantastic if I got there and other people could come and watch. So we'll see. We'll see.
And finally, if you could pick between your playing career or your refereeing career, which would you pick?
I don't know if I can answer that one. I might have to swear for that one. To be fair, though, I think I answered it in my previous questions where I said if I could go back to being 15, 16 and go into these amazing academies to train and, go through the system, would I do it? I think I would, 100%. Maybe getting more caps, maybe it not being so hard, maybe having more games rather than waiting and only playing qualifiers. I think I would, 100%. Because I loved playing for Wales, and I, was obviously a passionate Liverpool player and fan. So I probably would go back to that. But at the same time, refereeing has given me something completely different. Like I said, the places that I've visited, the people I've visited, the experiences. I know I talk about having played in front of 30,000, but I've refereed in front of 36.
Yeah.
How can you take that away? And so I'm going to swerve ball that one. I think I've answered it in both ways.
Yeah,
would I go back and play? Would I? Yes. If someone said to me, here's a time machine, go back to being 23, would you play or referee? And I'd still play.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I think that, my refereeing, and I don't want to say success because, again, that makes me sound like I'm, being a bit big-headed or whatever. But what I've achieved in refereeing in a short space of time, I think it's because of my playing.
Yeah.
Because of that experience. So I'd probably do that first and then become a referee again.
Again. Well, thank you for speaking to me today. It's been amazing. I hope to hear from you soon.
Cheers. Thank you.
So that does bring an end to Football Fashionista for this week. If you follow us on Twitter, we are @FootyFashionPod. From myself, Adam, Josh, Rhiannon, Ellie. Bye.